Shalom, shalom, and welcome. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present to Awakening Set Apart Nation. This is Seed to Harvest, a series of videos to prove that the Almighty Father set out a plan which, if we paid attention, it will strengthen us in wisdom and discerning His ways and His voice. He laid out a plan that things that we've taken, some of the simplest of experiences that we've had to endure, offered opportunities for us to learn a bit of wisdom that can be carried on for a lifetime. In this segment of Seed to Harvest, as I bring about parallels from conception to birth and beyond, I want to talk about no sleeping. No sleeping. My brothers and sisters, it is important to recognize the similarity between conception, birth, and beyond, and how this can contribute to our discipline as adults. And I will present that case as I go through this message. It will not be too long. Bear with me. I submit to you that those who take for granted the simplest steps towards wisdom may be the individuals who will be quick to neglect the least among us. As end times ramp up, do you want somebody that ignored the simplest of things? The needs of the baby, the needs of the mother, the needs of new parents trying to navigate through life with this new responsibility? Do you want to be around someone who just ignored the simplest of things? You see, when it comes to no sleeping, anyone that's been around a newborn babe or babies will realize that the mother, the child, the father, and or guardians will battle with no sleeping, trying to sleep, trying to determine when to sleep. Let me present something to you. Romans 12:3-4 says this, "For I say, through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly, as the Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief." You know, some of us will say, well, I don't have a child. It's not my baby. Some of us do not pay attention to the experiences that a newborn face, or that the mother or father face. It is time that we be mindful of that, my brothers and sisters. Let us be mindful of one another. This is the same for someone awakening, being born again, excited, bombarded with challenges. Sometimes they find themselves restless, facing no sleep. Matthew 25:45 says, "Then he shall answer them, saying, Truly I say to you, insofar as you did do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me." You see, my brothers and sisters, there are things we take for granted, and you hear me talk about it often. When we take things for granted, we tend to neglect the needs of others. Who among us consider the challenges of no sleeping not only affects the newborn, but also spills over to the mother and father? All three require support and attention. In other words, have discussions sometimes regarding sleep to those who have a newborn baby or babies in their midst. Have discussions and ask them, what are some of the things you could do to support them? To support them, rather. Or the father, the mother, the father. It's important, O Yahusha, that when we begin to learn how a family unit should function in working together, it can make a big difference when it comes to sleep. How many of us who've never had a child even thought about that the father, the mother, or the baby sometimes suffer sleep deprivation, which makes one, if not all, irritable. All too often, my brothers and sisters, we fail to realize the challenges faced when it comes to getting enough sleep. I will present how this also is reflective of those coming into the truth. You see, especially during times like this, it is my belief that beyond the crib, so to speak, people face challenges when it comes to not being able to sleep, when it comes to no sleeping. It is important that we begin to recognize the challenges we face as end times ramp up and a sense of urgency come about. There are some who are sluggard and lazy, and there are those who are tired and need some help, support, someone else to kick in. We will see that this is important for such a time as this, O Yahusha. There are many things that consume our time. When we work together, my brothers and sisters, one could be sleeping while the other is working. This will make our burdens lighter. Ask a mother who's caring for a newborn babe. How much difference does it make if someone watched the child so she can catch a nap or develop a sleeping pattern that works? Ask the father how that affects. And of course, the child, you can ask the question, but the child will let you know. If they're struggling with sleep, it could be a wet diaper. It could be they're hungry. It could be the temperature in the room. It could be one or more items. The key is managing sleep, for it brings peace and it reduces the distractions or the weights. It minimizes the weights that will come in the days ahead. It is important to accept that working together will prove, my brothers and sisters, to be needed as we find ourselves facing the final gathering. The littlest of things. Do you really want to be around someone that just dismissed the simplest of things? Do you think those are the individuals that will run off, take off, and leave you? Let's visit Colossians 4:5. I talk about it often. It is important to mention, for as end times ramp up, it is so important that we recognize all the wisdom that the Almighty Father puts before us to strengthen us for such a time as this. Colossians 4:5 say, walk in wisdom towards those who are outside, redeeming the time. I believe it's wise to recognize the new parents, the newborn, as it relates to sleep. If people get rest and there's a pattern that reduces the weight or the burden of sleepless nights, it will make a big difference, especially in times that movement will come. Come with me to Luke 22:44 through 46. Luke 22:44 through 46 says, and being in agony, he was praying more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And rising up from prayer and coming to his taught ones, he found them sleeping from grief. And he said to them, why do you sleep? Rise and pray, lest you enter into trial. You see, my brothers and sisters, he found them sleeping, not even saying that someone was sleeping and one was at watch. They all went to sleep. The need to manage sleep is important. No sleeping, my brothers and sisters, if we're doing it all at the same time. Proverbs 19:15 say, laziness make one fall into a deep sleep, and an idle being suffers hunger. See, my brothers and sisters. Proverbs 20:11 through 13, come with me there. It says, even a child is known by his deeds, whether his work is clear and right. The hearing ear and the seeing eye. Yahuah has made both of them. Do not love sleep, lest you become poor. Open your eyes to be satisfied with bread. There's literal bread, and that is the words and ways of Yahusha, for Yahusha is the bread of life to those who can receive it. Be mindful, my brothers and sisters, there will be times when one stands watch and is wide awake while another sleeps. This will occur more and more often, especially as end times get intense. Let us recognize the details of what the Almighty Father presents before us. Let us pay attention to them. Be alert, my brothers and sisters. In situations where we find no sleeping will echo in our ears and prove the need for working together. In other words, there will be times we will recognize we need to work together to be more efficient and coming closer together and in our movement during these end times. The conditions that it describes, earthquakes in diverse places, storms, signs from the heavens, famine, pestilence, and disease, fighting, and wars. Do you not see that the conditions that are ramping up will require sleep management? Unless we all find ourselves asleep when we're supposed to be watching and praying and warning and guiding. Yahusha, it is essential for us to know how to function as a unified, set-apart nation. Discover the need for managing physical sleep versus spiritual rest. There is a difference. This might seem redundant and simple, but have the discussion with one another and ask them, does this message seem necessary? Here's a bit of encouragement, my brothers and sisters. Matthew 11:25 through 30. Matthew 11:25 through 30. It reads, at this time Yahusha responding, saying, I thank you, Father, Master of the heavens and earth, because you have hidden these matters from clever and learned ones and have revealed them to babes. Yes, Father, because so it was well pleasing in your sight. All have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, nor does anyone know the Father except the Son, and he to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. Come to me, all who labor and are burdened, and I shall give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble in heart, and you shall find rest for your beings. For my yoke is gentle and my burden is light. How do you think we will find rest before physical death? Could it be that the wisdom that Yahuwah gives us, that the teacher, the spirit of Yahuwah's word that come to us in Yahushua's name, could it be the wisdom he give us to work together, to work towards efficiency, makes it possible for us to rest? And out of that wisdom, out of that discipline, from him, we see what it means when he say, come to him, and we'll find rest. Rest will bring about a big difference, my brothers and sisters. I want to come to an end urging each of us to be mindful of Ecclesiastes 3:1. For it says, for every matter there's appointed time, even a time for every pursuit under the heavens. My brothers and sisters, I invite you to read that entire chapter, the 3rd chapter of Ecclesiastes, and you'll see how he talks about there's a time and season for everything. Do not ignore the challenge that echo the words no sleeping. Have that discussion about sleep. See what a difference it makes in relationship, just to be mindful. Let us rise to the point of managing sleep wisely and with help. It's okay to ask for help. Don't think because you don't have a child, you don't have to worry about it. Yahusha, we are a set-apart body, many members, many functions. And it's important to think about this, especially as we consider the least among us. For we will find it very important. We will see what Yahusha meant when he wanted us to not ignore those least among us. Even those who are greater, that are weakened by the attention that they're getting from their flock or from people that they're shepherding, they may find themselves in a situation of not getting sleep. And if they remembered the wisdom that was necessary to bring about strategies for the mother, the father, the parent, and the child to manage sleep, to get past the no sleeping, then they just might be able to look at that wisdom and realize that they need help. Musa needed help, or Moses needed help. So my brothers and sisters, have this discussion. See what a difference it makes in relationships and coming together. I want to thank you for your pursuit of set-apartness, for your pursuit prayerfully of this nugget of wisdom that I believe it could be to some. Thank you for tuning in, my brothers and sisters. I pray that each of us are able to discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha speaking through us one towards another, strengthening us for the days that are unfolding before our very eyes. Rise up, O Yahusha, and let us understand the balance that is required to manage sleep. There's no sleeping to where there isn't anyone watching. Pray and watch. On that note, I say to you, again, thank you. There's more to come. I end by saying, Shalum. Shalom, my brother, my sister, my family.